How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez, and thank you for subscribing, thank you for listening, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your messages at lostlikemike@gmail.com. My dog's upset right now because I have a whole bunch of stuff on her dog bed, or where she likes to lay down. So if you hear her whining in the background, I'm sorry. She'll find a comfortable spot and she'll stop complaining. I wanted to check in. I wanted to have a quick episode today. I intended on recording last night, and because today was going to be packed full of things going on. Today being Sunday, my normal day of recording, as y'all know. And I'm going to try to scratch your ear to get that sound. Hold on. And because today, Sunday, I taught Sunday school, which I'll definitely get into in a little bit. But because I was going to teach Sunday school at my church, I was going to go ahead and record the episode last night so that I wouldn't have to mess with it today. I had family coming over, and of course I had to go perform a show. So I really wanted to not rush, and I wanted to record last night after my Saturday show. I was tired, and it turned out that it was good because I get to talk about what I did today, and there a lot went on today, so a lot to jump in and get into. So this past week, it was my birthday. It was my birthday, and here's the thing. A couple people wrote me, wished me a happy birthday, that kind of thing. They texted me or whatnot. They messaged. I removed my birthday from my social media platforms, and because as I've talked about in previous episodes, I'm conflicted on the sincerity of birthday wishes that come via social media platforms. And it kind of sounds like a jerky thing to say, because I know that certain people, that's their lifeline. That's where they find the information. Ask me if I know how many people's birthdays I know, and I'd be hard pressed to be able to answer that question. Same. And so maybe it's not such a bad thing to have a place to go to find these different, so that you could send your well wishes across the, whoever you're sending it to. But and I'm trying to get over it, but it's kind of one of those just things. I just wanted to, not be very good dog. Not be looking out for who sent me a message and how many people wished me happy birthday on Facebook or whatever. And what the thing is here it is. And let me tell you what it was for me. And I'll put it very simply. This at my place of employment, there's another person that shares my birthday, another employee that works in my department, okay? And we're having this big, not big, it was just a team huddle, over the internet, where where it's called on a Microsoft Teams platform, where you're, people all across the buildings are getting together for a quick huddle on on my birthday, right? They were talking about their important things or whatever, what have you. And then the head of the department says, well, somebody says, is there anything else, any other topics on the agenda that we need to discuss before we sign off? And the main boss over the department says, well, it's so-and-so's birthday today, so I just wanted to put it out there. And my boss was referring to that other person, and didn't mention my birthday, right? It's petty, it's silly, and I could have chimed in and unmuted my screen and said, "Oh, it's my birthday too," or whatever. But I chose to just kind of sit back and be like, "Cool, you know, it's all good. Let that person have the glory in that moment and enjoy that recognition, cool, right?" But you know, after the fact, it was kind of not upsetting, but just a little tiny bit bothersome. And you write it down, you put it in a corner, you say forget it, whatever, right? And I just happened to go on Facebook, you know, just checking what's going on with the different stories and updates, right? And it turns out another friend of mine is celebrating their birthday today, on that day as well. And they're getting all these birthday well wishes throughout the day, right? And nobody knows it's my birthday, so I'm not getting any at all. And again, I'm happy for that person to get that recognition or whatever. And like I said, my brother sent me a message, and a dear friend of mine that I consider a sister sent me a message, you know, as well as my sister as well. Right? But and it's not a big deal, right? So because I said it last episode, you know, it's going to be equal to the love I give and what I put out there. And people aren't psychic. They don't just, you know this information offhand, but, you know. So, and then to kind of build into it, the night before my birthday, right, we happened to be performing a show at our regular spot, and you know, and it just was a crappy show. I didn't talk about my birthday. I didn't bring it up. You know, I had my money in my pocket. I had my room was clean. My areas were clean. And we've talked about that in previous episodes. The things that are important to me leading into my birthday, I checked all the boxes. I loved on my family before I left. You know, people were healthy, happy, whatnot. No complaints, you see. You know, and so on that Thursday night, going into midnight, where it was going to be the beginning of my birthday, I wanted to lead into it with a good show. You know, my voice was, it was okay. I'm still getting over my cough, which we'll get into that, how it's progressed now. But, you know, overall, by the end of the show, I mean, the manager was like, nah, nobody's here. Y'all can finish early or whatever. And so it was a drag, man. And it ended up feeling like, you know, just garbage, like a hell of a way to bring in the birthday. So not only do I get home at the crack, you know, like just really late because of the show, I get a little baby bit of sleep, and so I'm tired on my birthday. I had a quick dinner with my wife and daughter, which was cute. It was happy birthday and whatever. It was sweet. I never regret with that. We always they always are very sweet to me. But you know, I mean, it was just kind of a blah. Like, you know, I wish I had that philosophy of like Prince or different people that hold that opinion that birthdays are just another day, and you know, like, no, don't give it any recognition. Go about your business, do your normal thing. Just get out there and forget about it. You know, I wish I could be like that. And for the most part, I am by default. But you know, it's just it was one of those things where, in retrospect, I mean, I don't know. There's a little, you can have a little tinge of envy for these different people that have built their friendships and their, you know, in such a way where, and you know, by the end of the night, I will put it out there that towards the end of the evening, my wife did post a picture, my favorite picture of this dog. If I can post it on the YouTube portion of this podcast. It's my favorite. It's like what do they call that? Like GIF or GIF. It's my favorite image right now, and she posted it on my Facebook page and said happy birthday. And so a couple of my friends posted on Facebook by the end of the night, you know, happy birthday and stuff, and that was cool. Same birthday as Robin Williams. That's one of the famous ones. But anyway, and so I mean, then there's highlights too, like on Saturday, and then today we sort of made this weekend. My cousin and I, who performed together all our lives, his birthday is this week, and so mine was on Friday. His is on like Wednesday. So this weekend we called our birthday weekend, and geez, I mean, look, my voice has not been as good as it was tonight for a long time. I'm not trying to make myself feel good or whatever. I'm just saying, Vince said, he goes, I like it when people aren't listening to you, because you go hard, you sing harder or you sing louder. And he's like, it's cute. He's making fun of me. Because I get mad. I get mad when I'm ignored by the audience. Like they couldn't give two shits. I mean, they don't care what I'm doing. They're just minding their business or whatever, you know. And so like tonight, I told him, I said, I'm feeling good. You know, my voice is on. I said, just keep throwing out the songs. No fear. I'm just gonna do them. Like, and it was so good. I had a couple of people in the audience that turned around. And they started, you know, getting down like it was a nice little concert. It felt good, man. Oh, and and it goes. The bottom line is, you're as good as your last show. And my birthday show was garbage, and Saturday was better, and then today was just, you know, it was good stuff. And to hell with the people that weren't paying attention or whatever. I didn't care, and it felt right. It felt good. I went to breakfast with my family. That was cool. On Saturday morning, it was kind of like a pseudo birthday breakfast. I told them I didn't want it to be considered a birthday breakfast because there's other family members that have birthdays in July, and it's stupid for me to celebrate mine but not recognize theirs. Like my wife's birthday is on Thursday. And my nephew, who was there at the breakfast, his was in July as well. I don't know. It's one of those things, man. But yeah, I'm checking my board, see if I had covered everything regarding the birthday. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it was good. Oh. One more thing about my birthday. All right, and this is a big one, okay? On Saturday after my show, it was another reason why I was tired, because after my show, I was supposed to come home. I was supposed to go have dinner with my son and then come home and do the podcast. All right. I went and picked up my son. He's like, let's go to dinner. He's like, we're going to go to like Cracker Barrel or something. Just wherever. He had a plan. And we get to the end of the meal, and the wait staff comes up and brings a check, and I just about lost it because my son said, "I am buying you dinner, Dad." You heard me right. My son picked up the check for the first time, and I wanted to be like, emotional about it. It was I was so floored, man. Because I even did the thing where you pick up the check and you start doing the math for how much you're gonna pay the server, and he took it from my hand. He's like, "I'm gonna go take care of this, and I'll be back." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Happy birthday." And I was like, "Okay, somebody's got some money, you know." Oh man, I just about lost it. I was like, "This is the best day ever." Oh man. So I'm gonna be riding on that for a long time because that's great. And I've heard stories like my friends and stuff. They talk about their older kids and the first times that they picked up the check or like bought them actual gifts or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I was super like blown away. Yep. Look, I'm saying all these great stories, these great things that went on for my birthday and for different things. There's a couple reasons I was in a bad mood. I mean, and I hate that I even have that floating around, that this sort of looming negativity. I don't like it. Because I have a list on the board and I'm talking about different things that are on my mind. I'm realizing that there's so much good, because I haven't even got into the Sunday school or any of that stuff. But I'm saying all these things as I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and I'm realizing that there's far more positive things. And it's weird how it just takes one bad thing or two bad things or however many to overshadow all this positivity. Well, I'll get rid of some of the negatives real quick, and then we'll hop back onto the positive train. Here's what is up. Like, I talked a little bit in previous episodes about my son going to this dentist. The one that, and if you're just joining us for the first time, let me just tell you very briefly. My son needed some dental work. Okay, he goes in, he gets a where they do X-rays and an estimate of the work he needs to get done. So at first they say, well, it's going to be $1,000. Here you go. Here's the treatment plan that we have for him. And I said, well, $1,000. I'm going to have to, prioritize some of these different things and we'll sort it out. But at the same time, his mom is involved in insurance. So I asked her to review the policy and see if we could see if they're applying it properly, right? Anyway, so they sent me right away the next day after she does this, and they said, "Oops, it's not $1,000, it's $200." And I'm like, that's quite a substantial dip. You went from 1,000 to 200. I said, well, let's go. Let's tally ho. I'll pay for it right now. Let's get this show on the road, right? So my son goes in and look, and then they tell him, she gives me a call. She says, all right, so his mom calls and says, here's what's up. Now that he's on the chair, now that his mouth is open and his mouth is numb, they've done the preliminary cavity work, and lo and behold, there's a tooth that needs a crown, and there may be one that needs a root canal. So it went from $200 to now an estimate of $3,000, give or take. And so right? The record pulled, the brakes hit, and you're all of a sudden thinking, what's going on here? Like, so I very diplomatically but very sternly talk to them and say to the lady and say, and when I say lady, I mean the worker there at the location. How did you not see this work needing to get done? I mean, well, you couldn't see it from the X-rays. And I said, aren't X-rays like pictures of things where you look through the things? You know what I mean? Like, is it broken? Like, how do you not see a hole in the tooth that is cavernous to the point where you need a crown and possibly a root canal? Like, anyway, big debate, big issues, whatever. We tussled a bit, but at the same time, they were charging full price for everything. They weren't applying, and look, I don't want to bore y'all with the details. Like, too late. So let's round it up by saying we tussled, and it ended up that they were going to call me, and we're going to sort it out during the week, right? So, long story short, he went back to the dentist today after, and I never got a call. They said they were going to call me. So I said, well, I need to talk to the lady again. I need to talk to the billing department. And so I call her, the lady, and she's just super not nice, super unhelpful, super rude. And her go-to line was, so what's your question? And she kept saying that. So what's your question? And listen, I know how to structure a sentence. I know how to end it with a question mark. I know how to ask a damn question. And I know that I asked the same question at least 3 times. And her silence didn't answer anything. And her BSing around didn't answer anything. And so she would say some random stuff, change the subject, and then after I would make a statement, that was unrelated, she would say, okay, so what's your question? Dumbass, I asked you. I put this sentence in the form of a question of to which you have not answered. So let's try this again. I ended up having to say, listen, lady, your attitude sucks and you're being super disrespectful. And the fact that you don't understand when somebody is asking you a question and are failing to answer, is just downright rude. And and to the point where I had to spell it out to her and say, look, you're saying this without saying it because you won't, for some reason you won't say it. Big tussle. And I said, I said, listen, I'm just going to tell my son to book it out of there. I don't even want him there. I don't want you to touch. I said, you're shady as fuck. You are shady McShaderton. You are a con artist. And it brought to light this bigger issue that I'm having right now. I didn't think that, I told a story on a previous episode about the carnival people that were running a con, and I was like, it doesn't bother me. I recognize it. I spot the game, and I see the fix, and it's all, okay. I'm watching you, right? But I'm not okay, because then I start to see the con in other things, on TV shows, on interactions with my day-to-day life, with different coworkers and with vendors and people spinning stories and hustling and not playing the game straight, and I don't like it. I'm done with people playing, not playing the game straight, right? I mean, and this will sound bad, but even look, I taught Sunday school today, and it was nice, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But they were talking about, the question was, kids asking questions, right, to this person, this religious person, and the question was, why are there homeless people? The question is to God, and then this person has a show that they answer these questions for the kids. And the answer the guy gave was very diplomatic, very kind of like spinning the story of why they're homeless people. And it didn't ring true, because it can't ring true. Because I think to a certain extent, we have to BS ourselves with certain issues, because we can't put that to God as to why, we can't really, because we don't, we can't say to a bunch of kids like, well, we don't really have a, like the infrastructure to take care of the mentally ill in such a way where, they are, they're not on the streets, but they're not institutionalized and put in prisons, or doped up and locked in 12 by 12s, right? I don't know. I mean, because, and I have nothing against a capitalist society. I think that there's a lot. I mean, it's like, just in certain ways, it's a meritocracy where if you have a product that people want, then they'll buy it and you'll be, make money. But in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things that frustrate me about the way that things work right now. Like, you talk about con artists, and my brother was telling me about how he was they told him he received a free package from Amazon and he signed for it, because much like myself, he receives packages from Amazon all the time, and just thought it was another one of his packages, and he realized that it wasn't something that he ordered. But come to find out through searching on the internet that people steal data and use that data to do fake reviews onto other products, give 5-star reviews to whatever gadget or product that they're selling at the time, and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, you can't trust a lot of these different things. I was thinking about, like, there was this, I think his name is Jason Aldean. He has this song out, and it's getting a lot of airplay and a lot of hype because allegedly it's like offensive to the left, and the right is all up in arms about how it's an anthem for small towns or whatever. It's basically just saying that try that in a small town or whatever. Look, but my point is that it feels like that the outrage is manufactured. It feels like the people that are offended, right, are I mean, I don't even know anybody. I mean, I don't know one person that holds any sort of beliefs of sort of left-wing opinions that is going, oh, that song is so offensive. This guy's talking about, I don't know anybody that's really upset about it at all. I mean, perhaps there are. Maybe they just fell upon the song naturally and, heard it on their local radio station and said, huh, I'm offended. But nobody I know did that. Not one person. Right? I mean, through different social media platforms, TikTok, whatever, I've fallen upon it, and people say, if you don't like this song, hey, wait a minute. Right? Or, I've been having a lot of backlash. Of course you have. All the way to the bank, friend. Because nobody gave two craps about that song a week before. And that might not be, that might be an ignorant statement to make, but it feels like that's the case. And there's this movie by, I'm not going to pretend to know the name of it. But there's this movie with Jim Chazelle. And there's this big hype about it that you're supposed to tell your friends when you watch it, because Hollywood doesn't want you to see this movie. And it's another one of these, and I didn't even know it's about like human trafficking or something, and people are like, oh, it's the best movie ever. Maybe it is. And there's a lot of good movies out right now, is my point. And this movie's breaking all these, doing really well at the box office. Well, of course it is. Because you manufactured outrage, and you're attaching some sort of symbolism to this, to not the movie, not the content, not the subject matter, but just going to see it based on the fact that you're saying Hollywood doesn't want you to watch this, so you better watch it. You better tell your friends that, this is the movie to watch. Right. I mean, again, it feels manufactured. I mean, you might as well be, what was that one band from it's just, it feels forced, and it feels like not true. I think so much of the outrage and the silly, it's already, if you don't have a quality song or a movie, believe me, I don't know the first thing about what constitutes a good movie these days. I mean, the Barbie movie is number one, breaking box office records for 2023, and opening weekend records. Maybe it's been that long since I've worked in a movie theater, but I don't get it. I guess. Oppenheimer. Look, I watched a lot of. I went back. My brother loved Christopher Nolan. My buddy really loves Christopher Nolan. And I always feel stupid when I watch, like, I don't understand what everybody likes about Christopher Nolan. But yeah, he's got a new movie out right now. But I don't know, I hear, there's certain music I hear and I think it's good, but I'm at a loss for all of it right now. For what makes the stuff that people enjoy or whatever. Least of all this, but I just have been seeing, it feels like one hustle after another, one scam after another. And it feels like, and I used to think this about a lot of different things, that everything has to be gimmicky, or you don't have it doesn't matter if you have a song to sing, you have to have a story behind it, like contestants on the singing shows, right? Like your American Idols, or your, like, to hell with whether or not you can sing, to hell or not your voice has any sort of sincerity to it, if you have any heart or whatever. It's just whatever life story you give in the 2 minutes when they introduce you. It's the only thing that matters. And if you're not willing to exploit the people that have died in your life, or the people that are sick in your life, then you won't even make it onto the stage, much less, And that sounds really like a negative outlook on it, but I'm just, I've seen so much when it comes to like those. There's a lot of frustration when it comes to a lot of those singing shows and things. Just, it's just, maybe I'm just venting, and that's okay. Sometimes you just got to be able to just vent. And I was a little bummed by some of the things that went on today. And the thing I kept saying, like, to myself when I was on the phone with that person, trying to sort out the bills, is just how exhausting it was to be on the phone with this person, how toxic it was to just be in this person's orbit, and how desperately I wanted to be off the phone. I almost wanted to just be like, look, take my card, I'll pay for whatever it is. I just don't want to hear your voice for one more second. And then right after I got off the phone with them, I was back on the phone with my son's mother. And the Lord knows I would pay the amount of money to not have to endure any negativity from that situation either. It's just... And now let's talk about Sunday school. No, at my church, they have this thing where the Sunday school teachers go on vacation in the summer. So they open the opportunity for substitute teachers across the congregation, and they'll sign up, and you pick a date and a service, and you'll teach, or you'll run the Sunday school for the day and for that service. And so today was my day to do it. Julie, my wife, and we did the second grade class in the 9 o'clock service, 9:30, and it was definitely eye opening, because, well, first things first, we had a group of girls and a group of boys, and it was like, I mean, not to be cliche about it, but the girls were very calmly working on their stuff at their table, and the boys, one of the boys was literally throwing himself against the wall 2-3 times before I was like, hey, how about don't throw yourself at the wall? Like, what did the wall do to you? Just sit down. Like, what are you doing? And he was a sweet kid. He just had so much pent up energy that he's like, I just want to bounce off the wall for a second. And this other boy had his chair backwards, and he would just let himself fall onto the floor, like, repeatedly. This was all before we got started, because I kind of like, I did wrangle him okay when we were doing the course, but anyway, like, the sermon, or not sermon, the lesson plan was about wants and needs, right? Basically, like, God gives you what you need, and then and distinguishing what the difference between the two. And before you say, does God give you what you need? We can have a giant philosophical conversation about whether or not that's true, and I'd love to have that someday, but we're not doing that right now. For the purposes of what we're saying right now, yes. So, but I decided that I was going to change it up, and I wanted to ask the kids. I said, what do y'all pray for? Like, do y'all pray at the end of the night? And like a bunch of them were like, yes. And then hands start going up, and I was like, this is so cute. Like, they're being like real students and stuff. Because they are. I'm just, whatever. And I said, who would like to tell me what they pray for at the end of the night? Here's the thing. My intention was to get them to be like, well, I want the new, PlayStation 5, or I wanted them to say like, a new bike, or whatever material thing that they want, or maybe to be tall and I don't know, to have a good singing voice or whatever. Like, I was looking for what they would say, right? And hands started shooting up, and I was like, well, okay, what do you pray for? And one was like, my grandmother is like 90, and I want her to be okay and healthy. And I'm like, Jesus, okay, cool. How about you over there? And then he was like, my grandpa and grandma passed away, and I sometimes pray that I could see them again. And I'm like, geez, okay, cool. How about you, little girl? And the little girl was like, my brother is mean to me, but even though he hurts me, I pray that he's safe and healthy. And I said, okay, forget this. I mean, where are you kids coming from? Like, how are y'all like so sweet and kind, and like you pray for like these wholesome, beautiful things, and then this other boy was like, how about you? And he's like, I like the silver wrapped Pokemon. I'm like, that's okay, let's start with that. Like, okay, so do you think that you need those silver plated cards from Pokemon or whatever the hell it was? But all of the things that they were asking for were so sweet, and I'd like to believe that it's not because they've been going to Sunday school since they were in pre-K, and like they know the drill, and like know how to answer these questions in such a way that it fits the bill for what I'm looking for. I'd like to think that it's not that. And it felt sincere when they were saying these different things. And I'm not saying that these kids were like some Stepford kids that, just were, because like I said, one was bouncing off the wall and one was throwing themselves on the floor. And this other little girl threw crayons at this other boy. So, I mean, I was like, okay, so they're not like super saints or whatever, but. And then we had to take them to this other like central big room where they were giving this overall story from the Bible, and like, and we were supposed to take that information and go back and have our little talk. My kids sat like super still. I mean, for the most part, the bounce off the wall kid, he kind of struggled a little bit with sitting in one spot. I mean, God bless him. He was really trying to be like attentive, but like, I think he had to change positions like 10 times. And then we went back to the room. So when I went back to the room, I said, all right, first I want to tell y'all that y'all were super well behaved, and I was really impressed, and thank y'all for doing that. And then second, let's all stand up and just kind of shake it off and wiggle a bunch, because I know it's not easy to be still for that long. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It was like 20 minutes of like repetitive stories, and they toughed it out, man. I mean, some of them were yawning at the end of it. There was it's hard to give a message to young people, and they did a fine job. The team that was there, it was very informative and entertaining, and it was funny, and it had visuals and all this kind of stuff. But you could just tell that these kids they got juice, baby, and you can't just like have them sit there for whatever time. Anyway, but it was rewarding in that sense that I felt like they had a good time, and they learned something. They got to share something, and yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah. And it was positive in a weekend of like kind of gray. I wasn't too, such a good time. And lastly, I'm going in for a surgery. It's a thing I've talked about a little bit in previous episodes, but the bottom line is I'm being put under. They're putting me to sleep, and I don't know why. It's just one of those things that I'm just dreading, and it's causing me a ton of anxiety. The nurse called, like they do. They're just like letting me know what time I have to be there, what I can and cannot eat or drink, or when I have to stop, and what sort of prep work I have to do, and just and on and on and on. And the whole time I'm thinking, geez, can't you just like not put me to sleep? I promise I won't jump around or whatever. But and it's par for the course, man. It's something that as we get older, you're gonna have to to keep this, your body in one piece. I guess you have to figure out some things, and occasionally have to have these different surgeries and whatnot. And I think about my daughter who's had so many surgeries, and she's like, trying to be cool about it for me, but I didn't think that I was going to be this, stressed about it, to be honest. I don't, I think because my brother was sedated and then never came back out from it. Right. I think you hear like when watching my dad be induced into and asleep and then not wake up. My friend being sedated and not waking up. I just think it's got me all, not feeling good about it. And I try to rationalize and say, look, well, they don't want the malpractice suit, so they're not just going to go willy-nilly and like guesstimate how much, sleepy juice to give me, right? But already, like they called me and they're like, so what medicines are you taking? And I was like, well, I can't remember. Sorry, dog. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's for this. And they're like, okay, cool. Then, and I wanted them to be like, well, you need to tell us specifically what that is, because that, might make or break whether or not we can give you this sleepy juice. I dropped my lighting on my dog. My bad. But anyway. So I think I'm just leveling with y'all, sharing that as it gets closer to, it's going to be the first week of August. I'll let y'all know a little bit more about what's happening. And it's just it's not invasive. It's just it's going to be in and out, same day stuff. All right. Well, I'm glad that I was able to do an episode today. I was worried about it because my week is just going to be rough. And so I'll try to stay up and edit this and get it out. And appreciate y'all hanging out. Thank you for visiting with me. Please message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com or in the comment section. Thank you for the suggestions of the topics to talk about. And I'm saving up to do the AI to try it out for fun. But you have to pay for the ability to do it. So until I do that, well, I'll have to wait on it. But we'll talk next week, and y'all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.